Welcome to the Jeremy Mullins podcast, season 3. I am Jeremy, your host, and I am here today, finally in season 3, partner in crime in the podcast, does all of our editing, gets us out there on all the platforms, Mr. Jeffrey Reno.
What's going on, good sir? It's been a while. 6 months to be
Is it?
exact.
Yeah, 6 months, and we've been giving you a hard time for a little bit. Monte, kind of moved up into that co-host role since you've been gone so
I
long.
know. He's been crushing it. And then I get text messages like, "What are you doing? Why aren't we getting these out?" I'm like, "Oh God, the pressure."
uh, but hey, all jokes aside, that's the reason we kind of backed off season 2. We didn't do a big push towards the end of the year. Is Reno was at a reclassification course for the Army, so going and getting a new MOS, which was not a short class.
No, it was 5 months total, but with all the holidays and federal stuff like holidays and the shutdown, it was about 6 months.
Yeah. And I kind of talked about it last podcast. I was thinking our sponsors and, talked about like, the first couple of years we spent a lot of the financial, support on lighting and computers and microphones and all the cool stuff. But I think people forget, how much work on the back end for you to edit these and get them out there. And, that's part of, that financial support from them is, for your company, for doing that. Right. So,
Mhm.
once again, I appreciate you for that. Appreciate all the back, behind the scene things. And, once again, shout out to Summit and Green Up, for their financial support over the past few years. And of course, to all the listeners, right? Because if we wouldn't, we weren't continuing to get the downloads, then I'd be like, well, what are we doing here? Do I need to put subtitles so they can understand me? That's probably what I'd be thinking.
It's all right. We
Do
got the
they,
shorts. The
yeah.
shorts have the subtitles. It's perfect.
Do they understand my language? But yeah, I thought today, one just kind of a welcome back podcast for you. So, and I'm just going to fire some questions at you and let you answer them. Really might not have anything to do with exercise and wellness. It may, I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
see what comes to my mind. But first and foremost, what was probably one of your biggest takeaways from your course watching other people? Because I know, we spoke multiple times throughout it, and you were there with a lot of younger population.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I asked you, hey, Reno, in your people watching skills, what was one takeaway, good or bad, that you've figured out in those 6 months?
I mean, on the good side is it took me back to the basics of like understanding like okay, yeah, and this was public affairs school, so cameras, graphics, stuff that I've been in for years. It took me back to the basics even on the army side of like, hey, they don't know what these terms are. They don't know what this means. They don't know how to do these things. So I have to really, I don't want to say dumb it down, but just like what we do and what you do of helping people is like, how can I explain this in a way that they're going to understand it, that I'm not like completely overshooting my target, which helped me. I was able to take like a decade plus and go back in time and like, okay, how would I want to learn this topic and teach it that way? And so that was extremely helpful for my leadership skills, communication skills, and even just relearning the basics. And then the bad thing is people don't know anything. So they just make dumb mistakes. They just walk into the buzzsaw and they know they're walking into a buzzsaw, but just keep walking into it. That's probably the hardest part.
Yeah. Would you say that's in learning, or are you saying it's just some of these kids made stupid mistakes in general?
Learning, I mean, as far as, yeah, learning was tough just because, like, they'd be like, I don't understand why this is not working. And it's like, well, that's because your camera's off. And I'm like, so that's tough. And then, but then, like, the army side, it's just like, hey, if there's a no alcohol policy, it doesn't mean that you can be a little drunk. It means you can't be drunk at all. Or they
Right.
think that they can sneak vapes into the barracks and do all these things that, like, no one's going to know. And it's like, people have been doing this since the beginning of time in the military. It's just the medium is a vape instead of something else. Like,
Yeah. Right.
um,
Right. You're giving examples, right?
yep.
Yeah. And I think it's in life. It's like, hey, and especially in the army, like if those are the rules, you might not understand them, but like probably beneficial to follow the rules. right? Except if you want to have success in that domain, right? Now, I get it. Some people don't want to be there, right? Or they're not true wholly want to be there. We say the same thing in wellness. I mean, people say they want to have success, but then again, they won't do certain things, right? And I'm not saying that it's hard left and right boundaries when it comes to rules within nutrition, but like
Mhm.
there's some basics that we need to do in order to have success, and we can't, quote unquote, skim off them, from that standpoint. So now, being away for a few months, and not necessarily getting to work on, different things, not only here the podcast, but in all your other endeavors, whether that be taking photographs, whether that be making videos, do you feel a sense of like rejuvenation being away from some of the things that you were doing?
Yeah, 100%. Taking a step away. Obviously a lot of things changed being gone, but it was nice to be able to just be in a different world and like bills are on auto pay, but like I'm not seeing the bills, I'm not seeing these things. Like everything's just being paid and I am fed. I'm told when to wake up, I'm told where to be. Like it was very nice not having to adult for 5 months, if you call it that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the conversations we have, and I'll let you talk a little bit about your wellness journey over those 5 months because you got leaner, you got more fit while you were there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and I think in life, like we have to understand this, there's a lot of stress, okay, you're away from the wife, you're away from home. That brings its own, stresses into the situation. And, it's like Murphy's Law, you know, if the microwave's going to go out and the washing machine's going to stop working, it's going to be when we're at a military school or when we're gone. Can guarantee
Hmm.
it, right? So there's those stressors that come in, but I felt like you did a great job of being like, okay, yes, those stressors are there, and I'm going to take these other advantages, like you were saying. Okay, bills are on auto pay. I've got to be here at this certain time. I got to wear this uniform at this certain time, but I also have these times available. Let me put some positive energy into that and go and train more and eat better. And and I think that's something that people always have to look at. No matter the situation, you can generally find some positives out of it, and turn it around and be beneficial for yourself. So, how much weight did you lose? What are some of the physical metrics that you probably improved on while you were gone?
So I lost 30 pounds total. I went from about 198 to 200 to roughly 168 at the height of it. And right now I'm maintaining, 27 pounds off of that, 25 pounds. But that isn't, I mean, I didn't go there necessarily to lose weight. So it was nice that that happened. It was healthy. I'm sleeping better. My snoring has
Yeah.
like still there, but gotten way better. My running, I mean, I probably shaved 3 minutes off of a mile time. Granted, could I have run a 7 minute mile back then at 200 pounds if I really pushed it? Yeah. But like now I'm just cruising at 7 minutes. Now I could probably do, 640
Yeah.
and do it pretty well. Um, I didn't make too many strength gains just because there's not a ton of time at these schools to like go devote yourself in the gym to make these things. So I really stuck to running. Um, I did a bunch of rucking. I was probably doing anywhere between uh, 8 and 20 miles a month um, with everyone else.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, my nutrition was pretty on point. It kind of has to be at the defect. You're fed what you're fed. But I made really smart decisions. Even when I ate out, it was very smart decisions. We were not eating bad food whatsoever.
Well, and I think I mean, because listen, at the DFAC, you can make poor choices. You can
Yeah.
overeat, you can eat some of the simpler processed, foods, but there's always protein sources. There's always veggies, so for our brothers and sisters that are in the military, like, hey, I get it. It might not be the best tasting or, it might not be something you like 100%, but you can make good choices at the DFAC. Like you're choosing not to, unfortunately,
The
you
biggest
know.
thing I learned was being consistent. And I know we preach this a million times over, and I know it to be true. Um, you know, getting it done is better than doing it perfectly. And consistency really saved me there. Like every morning, I ate the same thing. I had like a small little bowl of cereal for my sweet and an omelet. And that was every morning for 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, just it's like you said, just like clockwork, right? You
Hmm.
know, a lot of times we should, and that is where I think habits play such a big role because once you get into those habits, you know, it's just automatic, right? And yeah, like I get it. You might be the individual that says, I don't want to eat the same thing over and over. Cool. Rotate it between three things. No big deal. It's still the
Hmm.
same thing. You're just rotating between three versus having the same thing. So, last two questions. One, are you excited to be back to do some podcasts?
I've been looking forward to it for a while because editing the podcast, you feel like you're missing out, and all these shorts are going out, and you're like, man, I'm missing out. But just being back in the seat of it, I'm very, very excited, especially what we have planned this year.
You know what? That kind of makes me happy as a business partner because, you know, in the beginning you were all about being behind the scenes and I kept pushing you to be like, no, 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 no. This is a partnership. Okay. You got to be front facing also. Okay. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
good behind the scenes, but you got to be a person, not just the behind the scenes guy. And, you know, so that's cool that you missed it. And with that being said, what are the three top or what are three topics that you would like to do for your first three podcasts back? And I know I didn't ask this
Consistency.
ahead of time.
No, you're good. Because I've almost had this like I am writing a small little whatever. That's a different story. Consistency for one. Um, that's going to be big, and that can play a role just in fitness, health, and just your career, especially for
Yep.
both of our sponsors. Uh, Getting it done is better than doing it perfect. And then the third is get back to the basics. Simple is sexy. Simple is just going to get the job done. Right now, my workout plan of 2026 is not really I have a plan. So each day I know what I'm doing when I go in there, but it's not pretty. It's just monotonous and go in there, have headphones, enjoy it, and make it very simple. Those three things are definitely high on my list for all of 2026 to be successful.
Awesome. We'll get this done. My man, I know it was short, but I just felt like we had to get you on here, get one out, show your face to the listeners, or I guess show your or let them hear your voice if they're just listeners. But you can always go to
Yeah.
YouTube if you want to see our pretty faces,
Yeah. And
quotation
follow
marks.
the page. We're releasing a bunch of shorts every episode. And I appreciate everyone listening. I appreciate everyone giving me the push and excitement that when I joined, however many years ago now. It's been exciting.
Awesome. Great to have you back, brother. For the listeners, we always appreciate you guys. If you don't care, you know, make sure you do share the podcast. Maybe not this one, because if you share this with them, they're like, well, what, it's just two guys talking about like what's going on. But you get what I understand. Take one of our educational podcasts that resonated with you, maybe share it with someone that needs to hear that, whether it's on, benefits of walking, whether it's benefits of training or some of the new stuff that comes out. We really appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
So